For every beloved Rick and Morty character that makes us question reality and laugh until we cry, there's another one that makes us want to portal gun them straight into the void.
Shit on the floor, time to get swifty in here.
And today, we're ranking them all. Starting with the most hated Rick and Morty character of all time, Tammy Guterman isn't just the most hated Rick and Morty character. She's the definition of pure, calculated evil wrapped in a teenage girl's body. And fans will never forgive her for what she did. At first, Tammy seemed harmless enough. Just Summer's bubbly friend, all sunshine and giggles, hanging around the Smith house like any normal teenager. But that was the whole point. She was playing the long game, and nobody saw it coming. The betrayal happened at Bird Person's wedding. What should have been one of the happiest moments in the series, Rick's oldest friend finally finding love, the whole gang celebrating together, and then, bam! Tammy reveals she's a government agent and straight up murders Bird Person right there at the altar. But it gets worse. This wasn't some spur-of-the-moment decision. Tammy had been planning this for who knows how long. She manipulated Bird Person's emotions, made him fall in love with her, and used that love as a weapon to destroy him. That's not just evil, that's psychological warfare. The worst part? She smiled while doing it. No remorse, no hesitation, just pure satisfaction as she watched Rick's world crumble. One fan perfectly captured everyone's feelings. That whole betrayal might be one of the nastiest gut punches Rick and Morty has ever pulled. Tammy represents everything fans hate about fake people in real life. She's the friend who stabs you in the back, the partner who's been lying the whole time, the person who uses your trust against you. In a show full of chaos and dark humor, Tammy's betrayal felt genuinely cruel and personal. But while Tammy destroyed hearts through calculated betrayal, our next character won them through pure chaotic genius and somehow made us love him for being an absolute disaster. Rick Sanchez isn't just the most loved Rick and Morty character, he's the entire show. This wild scientist with a brain the size of a planet has become one of the most iconic characters in modern animation, and it's not hard to see why. Rick is everything we wish we could be and everything we're terrified of becoming. He's the smartest person in any room, can build literally anything that pops into his head. Portal guns, killer robots, entire universes, and jumps through dimensions like he's running errands. But he's also a complete train wreck who ruins his family's day before breakfast. What makes Rick so compelling is his complexity. Sure, he's got a bottle glued to his hand most of the time and laughs in the face of any rule. But there's genuine pain behind all that chaos. He's seen infinite versions of himself across infinite realities, and that knowledge has broken something fundamental in him. Take the episode where he turns himself into Pickle Rick just to avoid family therapy. On the surface, it's hilarious, a genius scientist becoming a pickle to dodge emotional conversations. But deeper down, it shows how far Rick will go to avoid dealing with his feelings, even if it means literally dehumanizing himself. Rick's relationship with Morty is the heart of the show. He drags this poor kid through interdimensional nightmares, but you can tell he genuinely cares about him. When Rick sacrifices himself to save Morty and the family, only to reveal he had a backup plan all along, it perfectly captures his character, simultaneously selfless and selfish. One fan nailed it when he said, "He's the smartest guy in the room and also sometimes the absolute loosest cannon at the same time." That contradiction is exactly what makes Rick fascinating. He's a total disaster, but you kinda love him for it. Rick proves that being brilliant doesn't mean being happy, and sometimes the people who seem the most in control are actually the most broken inside. But while Rick's genius chaos wins hearts, our next character earned nothing but pure hatred by being pathetically, frustratingly, mind-numbingly incompetent. Jerry Smith is the human embodiment of secondhand embarrassment, and fans absolutely cannot stand him. This guy is the classic dad who can't catch a break. Except he's the reason he can't catch a break, and watching him fail is physically painful. Jerry is lost half the time, desperately fumbling for a shred of dignity while Rick roasts him every other minute. He wants to matter so badly, but every time he tries to assert himself, it's like watching someone faceplant into disaster in slow motion. The worst part about Jerry isn't that he's incompetent. It's that he's incompetent and thinks he knows better than everyone else. In one episode, he literally gets the entire family captured by aliens because he can't admit he doesn't understand how Rick's technology works. His pride and stupidity are a dangerous combination. But here's what really makes fans hate Jerry. He's emotionally manipulative. When things don't go his way, he guilt trips his family, plays the victim, and makes everything about his feelings. He has the emotional intelligence of a potato, but somehow always manages to make everyone else feel bad for his problems. Take his relationship with Rick. Instead of trying to understand why Rick doesn't respect him, Jerry constantly tries to undermine Rick and turn the family against him. He's jealous of a genius scientist because that genius makes him feel small. So he tries to drag everyone down to his level. One fan perfectly summed it up. Jerry's the classic dad who can't catch a break, desperately fumbling for dignity while Rick's out here roasting him every other minute. The tragedy is that Jerry could be sympathetic. He genuinely loves his family and wants to provide for them, but his methods are so backwards, his ego so fragile, and his decision-making so terrible that any sympathy gets buried under layers of cringe and frustration. Jerry represents every incompetent authority figure we've ever had to deal with. The boss who doesn't know what they're doing, the parent who's more childish than their kids, the person who demands respect without earning it. Morty Smith is the heart and soul of Rick and Morty, and fans absolutely adore him for being the moral compass in a show that constantly questions morality itself. Morty started as your standard awkward teenager who somehow ends up dodging death rays and space monsters every other Tuesday. But what makes him so lovable isn't just his relatability, it's his genuine goodness in a universe that's constantly trying to corrupt him. While Rick sees infinite realities and becomes nihilistic, Morty experiences the same chaos and somehow maintains his humanity. He cares about not being a total jerk, which makes him the only one in the show with any common sense most of the time. But here's what's brilliant about Morty's character development. He's not static. We've seen him grow darker, more confident, and sometimes even violent. In some episodes, we get glimpses of what Morty could become if he fully embraced Rick's worldview, and it's terrifying. But deep down, he always pulls back from the edge. Take the episode where Morty has to bury his own dead body from another dimension. Most people would have a complete mental breakdown, but Morty just processes it and moves on. He's developed this incredible resilience while somehow keeping his core kindness intact. Morty's relationship with Rick is fascinating because he's simultaneously Rick's greatest weakness and his greatest strength. Rick needs Morty's brainwaves to hide from enemies, but he also needs Morty's humanity to stay grounded. Without Morty, Rick would probably destroy everything. What fans love most about Morty is that he represents hope. In a show about infinite realities where nothing matters, Morty proves that some things do matter. Kindness, loyalty, family, doing the right thing even when it's hard. One fan perfectly captured it. Morty cares about not being a total jerk, which makes him the only one in that show with any common sense. Morty shows us that you don't have to be the smartest person in the room to be the most important. Sometimes being good is more valuable than being brilliant. But while Morty represents hope and goodness, our next character represents something far more sinister. And fans have been terrified of him for years. Evil Morty isn't just hated, he's the stuff of nightmares. This character has loomed over the entire series like a dark shadow, and every time he appears, fans know something terrible's about to happen. What makes Evil Morty so terrifying isn't just that he's evil, it's that he's everything regular Morty could become if he fully embraced Rick's nihilistic worldview. He's smart, cruel, and completely devoid of the empathy that makes our Morty lovable. From his first appearance, Evil Morty proved he was different. While other Mortys are victims of their Ricks, Evil Morty turned the tables. He secretly executed the murder of multiple Ricks, kidnapped and tortured countless Mortys, and manipulated his way to becoming president of the Citadel of Ricks. But here's what makes him truly hateable: his methods. Evil Morty doesn't just kill his enemies, he psychologically destroys them. He built a wall made of tortured Mortys, used their screams as camouflage, and showed absolutely zero remorse for any of it. The worst part? He's sympathetic on paper. Evil Morty's goal is to escape Rick's influence entirely, to find a universe where Ricks don't exist and Mortys can be free. That's actually a noble goal, but his methods are so horrifically cruel that any sympathy gets buried under the mountain of corpses he creates. What really terrifies fans is how smart he is. Evil Morty consistently outsmarts Rick, and succeeds in his goals. When he finally breaks through the Citadel finite curve and escapes to a Rick-free universe, it's both satisfying and absolutely chilling. One fan perfectly captured the fear. Evil Morty has made him a terrifyingly powerful villain. Also, the theme song that plays at the end of each of his appearances is enough to send shivers down any viewer's spine. Evil Morty represents the dark side of growth and intelligence. He shows us what happens when someone smart enough to see the truth becomes cruel enough to do anything about it. He's not just evil, he's evil with a point, and that makes him infinitely more dangerous. The fact that he always seems to win makes him even more hateable. In a show where Rick usually comes out on top, Evil Morty is the one character who consistently beats him at his own game. But while Evil Morty represents the darkness that intelligence can bring, our final character proves that sometimes the purest hearts come in the silliest packages. Mr. Poopybutthole might have the silliest name in Rick and Morty, but he's also got one of the biggest hearts. And fans absolutely love him for bringing genuine joy to a show that's often pretty dark. With his ridiculous name and even stranger look, Mr. Poopybutthole could have easily been just a throwaway gag character. But the writers did something brilliant. They made him the most genuinely kind character in the entire series. What makes Mr. Poopybutthole so beloved isn't just that he's cheerful and polite. It's that he's harmless in a show where almost everyone is dangerous. He shows up in surprise moments and always adds a bit of joy, even when things get dark around him. But here's what really won fans over: his tragic storyline. In one episode, he gets shot by mistake, and later we see him go through genuinely hard times, including heartbreak and depression. Behind that silly voice and goofy appearance is real pain, real struggle, and real humanity. The genius of Mr. Poopybutthole is that he's weird in a good way. While other characters are weird and dangerous or weird and annoying, he's just weird and sweet. He represents the kind of friend everyone wishes they had: loyal, positive, and always happy to see you. His relationship with the Smith family is also beautiful. He's not trying to use them, manipulate them, or get anything from them. He just genuinely enjoys their company and wants to be part of their lives. In a show where most relationships are complicated or toxic, Mr. Poopybutthole offers pure, uncomplicated friendship. What fans love most is how he breaks the fourth wall in the most wholesome way possible. His little segments at the end of episodes, talking directly to the audience about what happened, feel like getting updates from a friend. He's not judging the chaos, he's just happy to share the experience with us. One fan nailed it: he's not evil or wild, just weird in a good way. Mr. Poopybutthole proves that in a universe full of infinite possibilities and cosmic horror, sometimes the most important thing is just being kind. He's a reminder that goodness exists, even in the darkest corners of the multiverse. But here's the real question: do you agree with this list? Did Evil Morty's intelligence make him more terrifying or more sympathetic? Is Jerry actually relatable or just pathetic? And most importantly, how did a character named Mr. Poopybutthole become one of the most emotionally complex figures in the series? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because the Rick and Morty fandom has some of the most passionate debates in all of animation, and I want to hear your hot takes.